So once again, Severin Films brings into my life a film I had no idea existed, a film that my life arguably is better for now having seen, and a film that arguably, had I never seen it, I would have been fine. But this was a lot of fun. I hate to lead with how this is going to go, but this was a lot of fun. This is a film called Strike Commando 2 from 1988, answering all of the questions left sadly adrift and just twisting in the wind from the first Strike Commando. We have Brent Huff now portraying our titular hero, Mike Ransom. So it's Strike Commando 2, the same character name as the previous film, but it's not really connected to the first movie. Like, I think it's one of those things. It's like White Lightning and Gator. It's the same character, and he's kind of the same kind of guy. But in this case, it's a different actor. But with both films, it's like they're not really connected to each other. Like, you can watch one or the other and never the other. And I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't. It's not. It's like it's the same character name and type, but it's not really the same universe. Okay, Strike Commando 2, alternate universe, Mike Ransom. Let's call it that. So what we have here is a film that clearly Bruno Mattei, the director, directing here as Vincent Dawn, Bruno Mattei clearly saw Raiders of the Lost Ark and Lethal Weapon and said, wow, there's some stuff that really works in these movies. I want to put it in my own movie. Brent Huff as Mike Ransom is, his mission in this film is to find his kidnapped former commanding officer portrayed by, okay, let me tell you who else is in this film. Mary Stavin. Mary Stavin, who was a former Miss Sweden or something like that, is in this film. It's shot in the Philippines. So, you know where I'm going with this. Vic Diaz is in the film. And portraying Mike Ransom's commanding officer is Richard Harris. They say it on the back cover of the Blu-ray. Yes, that Richard Harris. Camelot, Man Called Horse Richard Harris, one of the iconic actors of the 60s. In 1988, in the Philippines, he appeared in Strike Commando 2. And he gives a full performance. It's not like he's not Stuart Whitmaning this thing. He's not just walking through the scene. He's giving a good performance. He's giving the full Richard Harris to this. It's kind of I'm pausing my performance here to say Richard Harris was in Strike Commando 2. Guy's got to work. And you know, free trip to the Philippines. Why not? Apparently he stayed in a much nicer hotel than everybody else from what they were saying in the extras here. So anyway, Mike Ransom is off to find his commanding officer, cutting through the bad guys. There's this blonde, okay, it's this movie, half of this movie is a ripoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So the first time we see Mary Stavin, Ransom blows into this bar in the middle of nowhere, and it's the introduction to Marion scene all over again, down to the tote character busting in with thugs. Okay, in this movie, instead of the tote character busting into Marion's bar with Nazi thugs or Nepalese machine gun toting thugs, they're ninjas. So you get ninja action in this movie. How do you make a scene from Raiders better? You add ninjas to it is what you do. So it's the Marion drinking somebody else under the table scene. It's people busting up the bar. It's the same thing shamelessly. It's not like anybody hadn't seen Raiders, but maybe there were people who hadn't. But it's such a bold thing. Like, decades later, it's an homage. But when Raiders came out like 6 or 7 years earlier, I mean, the damn movie was probably still playing in theaters in the country where they shot this. Anyway, so Brent Huff is good at this. He's not a great actor, nor was Reb Brown, but I think Huff handles the action better. The action is more interesting in Strike Commando 2. The styles of action is more varied. You get fisticuffs, you get gunplay, you get martial arts, you get pretty decent car stunts and things like that, right down to a big grand finale ripoff of the truck scene from the end. Yes, a ripoff of the truck scene from the end of Raiders. But what makes this better or different? Ninjas. Yes, we have ninjas crawling all over the truck that our good guy is trying to get away with. The tote character is this weird blonde. I don't remember if he's supposed to be a Nazi in this or not, but he's German, so I think that's the implication, is that we're doing the Raiders thing here. But then strangely, it also rips off Lethal Weapon in big ways. I'm not going to say how, because I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen this film before, but some major plot points of Lethal Weapon and the torture scene are woven into Strike Commando 2. So Strike Commando 2, very funny. Sometimes unintentionally, but there's a lot of intentional humor in this film, which I'm not sure the first one had much of, and it works. I thought Strike Commando 2 was a lot of fun. Not necessarily anything I want to watch twice, but I was happy to watch Strike Commando 2. There's an interview with Brent Huff, which is cool. He has a good sense of humor about the film and the making of the film and what went into it. And again, we have a direct interview, as with Strike Commando the first, an interview with the co-director about how this film came to be, which I was fascinated by that, because it's always, you're following up a film with a different cast entirely, although it's a sequel. You're shooting it kind of in the same place. You're shooting it the next year, and just why, how, and how did that all go for you? So that's all. Those questions are answered. Unlike the questions left unresolved from Strike Commando that are not addressed in Strike Commando 2, the production questions pretty much are. So I thought Strike Commando 2 was a heck of a lot of fun. It's just the cajones, as I heard a guy once say in a record store, of Bruno Mattei to, and the co-director even says this, Bruno was the kind of guy who would see movies that he liked or see things in other movies that he liked and say, well, we should do that too. And it's just like, let's do things that indelibly are burned into everybody's brain that say Raiders of the Lost Ark on them. Let's do that in our movie and see what happens. It was a lot of fun. So available now. I really do recommend this, actually. If you like goofy, junky movies like I do, both Strike Commandos are fun. Strike Commando 2 may actually have the edge because it is less walking through the jungle, shooting machine guns and yelling, and more varied things. And just the fact that it's like, am I dreaming that Richard Harris is in this film? Richard Harris is in this film. Strike Commando 2, available now on Blu-ray from Severin Films. It's something.